Hey, what is going on, guys, and welcome back to Too Much Tech. And in today's video we're going to be reviewing another monitor. We haven't reviewed a monitor in a while, at least not a PC gaming monitor. I know we reviewed an Asus monitor last month. Now we finally got something up to the caliber of what I would call a higher end monitor. This one's got some caveats as well, and kind of makes me question some of the decision making when they were making this product, especially given the price. But I will say that this is definitely one of the best gaming experiences that I've had in a while, and is from the monitor, the Asus VG27AQ, 1440p, 1 millisecond response time, IPS, 165 Hz and G-Sync compatible. But this monitor, the special feature that makes this one, in my opinion, a better option than other 1440p gaming monitors, is the addition of Ilm Vsync. Well, what the heck is Ilm Vsync? It's extreme low motion blur reduction. And more or less how it works, it uses magic to reduce motion blur to 0. Okay, if you guys want like a really in-depth explanation of how Ilm Vsync works, I recommend you watch Hardware Connect's video because they go through and talk about all the magic that happens. But experiencing it in gameplay is such a huge difference. I didn't really notice the difference until I turned it off and tried to play without it. And this was the thing that broke me off of 240 Hz monitors, at least for now, because that motion blur reduction is such a nice thing. I kid you not. Before we continue, there's a couple things that I do want to mention about the Ilm Vsync. So it's very obvious when it's on and off. When it's off, you'll notice that the monitor does not strobe, but when it's on, you will notice, especially on camera, there is a bit of strobing that is very noticeable. The camera picks up the strobing a lot more than the human eye does, but if you know that you're sensitive to some strobing elements, you might want to steer clear of this monitor because it is noticeable, especially when like the screen is like in loading screens and stuff like that where there's not a lot of motion. But just keep that in mind if you are considering this monitor. Here I've got some gameplay that I slowed down to 120 FPS captured by my camera, so you can kind of see what your eye would perceive. With the Ilm Vsync off, there was a ton of motion blur. Then compared to when it's on, where that motion blur is greatly reduced almost to 0, and it's really not even perceivable by the human eye. I've got some screenshots up for you so you guys can see a still frame of what it looks like when the Ilm Vsync is off versus what it looks like when it's on, and it is a huge difference. It gives you a true 1 millisecond response time. You cannot adjust the response time on this monitor. It's actually 1 millisecond and it's fast as heck. And 165 Hz is still a really decent refresh rate. Like, I can barely tell the difference between 165 Hz and 240 Hz. There's a difference, yes, it is about 80 more frames, but at the same time, I'm playing at high resolution. My games look a lot better. It's still extremely smooth, and that addition of not having any motion blur, it has provided one of the best gaming experiences I've had in a while with a new product. So the panel itself, like I said, is 27 inches, which is a solid size, especially if you have a larger desk. 1440p, super sharp. It's resolution matched to my other monitor as well, so it's perfect for like when I'm editing and all that stuff, or if I just got to throw something up on the screen real quick, or if I want to look dead on or something, because obviously my ultra wide is so big, I have it on an angle. It's extremely nice for watching content on too, because it is an IPS panel and the colors are fantastic. And this one also has HDR as well, and it gets super duper bright, and the HDR is pretty decent in terms of watching content, but I don't turn on Windows HDR because honestly it makes everything look horrible. And I don't really play with games in the HDR mode either because, likewise, most of the time they look bad. But if you just set up your monitor normally, turn your brightness and tune all your color settings and all that stuff, and you turn on the monitor's native HDR, it does make everything pop. Unfortunately, to use the HDR, you have to turn off the Ilm Vsync, so it's one or the other. And another caveat is that when you have the Ilm Vsync on, it definitely dramatically reduces the brightness of the monitor. I think it cuts it probably about to 1/3 of the maximum brightness that the monitor can hit. And to me, that's not necessarily a huge issue because the room that I play in isn't necessarily the most bright. I don't play in a pitch black room, so I would say it's moderately lit. It's pretty fine for me. I don't mind that this one is a little bit darker. It actually matches like the normal brightness that I usually have on my editing monitor, and gaming on it, it gets bright enough. And especially, like I said, playing on it without that motion blur, is freaking fantastic. And when I turned off the Ilm Vsync after using it for about a week straight, I definitely noticed the difference. Like I was like, really? Wow, like, I did not know that there is so much motion blur in games, even when you're playing at really high refresh rates. And I don't just mean turning off the motion blur in game. I mean like some of the trailing and stuff like that that you normally get, especially when you're playing on a really fast monitor. And I definitely noticed it in my Alienware monitors too, like in the 25-inch that I had, as well as the 27-inch monitor that I tested. If you put it on the fastest response time, that real 1 millisecond response time, you will get some ghosting and some trailing, and it's very noticeable. That's why I recommended that you put it on the second fastest setting, but in this monitor, you can't even adjust it. So you play on 1 millisecond, 24/7, all the time, and with Ilm Vsync on, you don't see any ghosting, any trailing, nothing. And it is literally, like I said, hands down, the most perfect gaming experience. Let's move on to a couple other things that I want to mention because the panel is really good. It's good enough to edit photos and videos on. That's how good the color is, at least in my opinion. If you turn off the Ilm Vsync, I have profile set up where I have it on and I have it off. So I can quickly switch between having it in production mode and having it in gaming mode. But some of the nuances that I have with this monitor. One, the design is outdated and it's not that great, especially warranting the price tag. It's not even using Asus's updated design language for their monitors, so that's kind of disappointing. Not saying that their updated design language is like anything to die for, because it's not incredible. The Alienware, on the other hand, looks fantastic. The 2020 Alienwares look dope. 2020 Asus monitors, they look pretty decent. This one was released in 2019, but it's using their 2015 and 16 Asus monitor style, and it's not very good looking. So the build quality, honestly, I would give it like a 6 out of 10, and it's not really that important because it's more so about the panel, but still, that's what I would rate the build quality. It's not very good. In addition to that, this also does not have USB pass-through, which I didn't even think about it. I didn't think to look on the spec sheet to see if this thing had USB pass-through. I don't know if that really would have influenced my buying decision, because I still wanted to try the Ilm Vsync so bad, and you know, the rest of the spec list was awesome. But not having USB pass-through is really annoying, especially when you're a person like me that goes through a lot of peripherals, and I have to, you know, reach to the back of my PC now, and I can't just plug it into the monitor, especially when I'm testing like a mouse or a keyboard or whatever. It just gets kind of old. And I'm really upset that this thing doesn't even have 2 USBs. Like my Alienware monitors that I use all have 4 USB 3.0 heads. This one has 0, like Asus. What the heck? Now, with anyone with an ROG monitor, can you guys let me know if your monitor has USB inputs? Because I haven't tried one yet, but in their tough line, something told me that this is like Asus's new budget line, and this one managed to be like the high-end monitor with the budget build quality, but the high-end price, because this thing is like over $500. Would I recommend this monitor for over $500? I don't know, it's kind of tough because it's a solid gaming experience, 110%. But I would feel like this monitor is more fairly priced around 450 bucks. Maybe if it, you know, was on sale for about 400 bucks, I think that would be a steal. If you like playing with high resolution, high refresh rate, solid color, no motion blur, G-Sync compatibility, real 1 millisecond, like what monitor has real 1 millisecond and can back it up without ghosting and trailing? There really is not many. The only ones that get close are the monitors that use similar technologies, like BenQ's Diac technology is also really good. And then I think Gigabyte also has like a similar technology that works as well, with another monitor that's priced pretty similarly to this one, if not a little bit more expensive. But all in all, my final thoughts, I do really like this monitor. This is my new main, until the Samsung, I believe it's called the Odyssey. It's a 27-inch 1440p 240 Hz QLED 1 millisecond response time monitor. Now, I'm sure the price is going to be up there too. It's probably going to be around $600. I'm itching to try that one because Samsung's QLED TVs look really freaking good, and I'm curious to see how their gaming performance is now that they finally got a really fast QLED monitor that's going to be available to try. So that's going to be the next monitor that I purchase, but I'm not going to lie to you, if that one is not as good of a gaming experience, I'm just gonna go back to this one because it's that good. But all right, you guys, that is gonna be it for this video. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you guys are new. If you guys are interested in also picking up this monitor, I will have it linked below, so you feel free to use our Amazon or Newegg affiliate links and check and see whichever one has the best price and buy it from there. Other than that, if you guys have any questions, feel free to jump into the Discord. I'd be happy to help you guys out if you guys are looking for a new monitor. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Drop a like, subscribe if you guys are new, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.
Oh my goodness. Kyle, you crazy? He's not even in that house.